when they started out 60 years ago. Do you remember his wife, Esther? You're not around that long.
No.
She was a holy woman. He's remarried. You know that, right? But his picture of his first wife is in his office. So I asked him, who's that? He said, you know who that is? He said, Esther, like she was the Rebbe. His wife, she was a very special woman. She really, really was. And when they went on Shlichus, everything was so hard. They had nothing. They were so alone. And now, there's so many shluchim and so much going on. And you forget how hard it was. You know, it started out, it was so hard. But one story I'll tell you. That she didn't get pregnant. They couldn't have any children. So she went to see different doctors. And the doctor told her, there'll be hair on my palm before you have children. So he told me, I had no money. I just collected pennies. And I sent her. He didn't go. He sent his wife that she should go to the Rebbe. This is the mid-60s. Anyway, she comes to New York. Please take one of these. Everyone needs this. It's a new series. It's a brand new one. So you don't have it. And she goes into the Rebbe. And she tells the Rebbe, the doctor said she's never going to have children. And the Rebbe changes the subject. The Rebbe asks her how long she's staying in New York. How long she's staying in New York. She tells the Rebbe how much time, a week or two. So the Rebbe says to her, what would you think of going into other cities outside of New York to talk about Taras HaMishpacha? Yes, of course. So the Rebbe says, go speak to Rabbi Chadakov. Rabbi Chadakov will arrange for you where you can go speak about Taras HaMishpacha. So Rabbi Chadakov arranged for her to go to 4 cities, 4 different places. And then he says, and I have 4 kids, and that's it.
Wow.
And I have 4 kids.
Wow.
That's it. That's the story. I heard from him directly, firsthand. And he had 4 kids. Okay, I'll be waiting for anybody, or this is it. A lot of our regulars are missing. Liat's not here. And Chana in the back is not here. I think her name is Chana, right? I hope I said that right.
The moral of the story is the Rebbe always said, get a second opinion from a doctor. Don't just trust one doctor.
Okay, very good. You were here last week?
Yeah.
You're Ayelet.
Yes.
Why do I remember your name? I remember your name. Because there's a pasuk that describes the coming of Mashiach like Ayeles Hashach. Ayeles Hashach. So if I have a hook, I remember that's how it works. Okay, if we're all here, let's go. Shall we? Let's not waste time, huh? Let's go. Okay, Rabbi say Kinderlach. What's going on? I'm going straight in, okay? Short, no long introductions. Last week I had come back after 5 weeks away, so I had to summarize and bring you up to speed. Now we're going to continue. We're learning the story of Friday before Shabbos when the Torah was given. That's all we're learning. The Torah was given on a Shabbos. There's actually different opinions about it, but according to the Gemara, which is what we're following, the Torah was given on a Shabbos. The Gemara says, Kula alma b'Shabbos nitna Torah. Everybody hold the Shabbos. The Torah was given on Shabbos. If the Torah was given on Shabbos, then the day before the Torah was given was on Friday. And according to Rashi, and we're following Rashi, we're not going to think of the other opinions, even though the other opinions can make it very confusing. Pardon me. On Friday, the 5th of Sivan, the day before the Torah was given, the Jewish nation were converted en masse. Okay? To become a ger tzedek, a person who is not a Jew, who wishes to become a Jew, and I got this in a sefer the other day, that there's 3 reasons people become Jewish. For marriage, for money, and for God. And the Malach Praga. But the only reason that's legitimate is for God, not for marriage and not for money. But the Malach 400 years ago says that people are cheating their way into the Jewish people. But thank you. I'm supposed to know your name and I don't know. I know you sit over there. Oh, so I got 2 Rivkas. Oh, you're the same Rivka. You're also Rivka. Okay, forgive me. To become a Jew, you have to go through conversion. To go through conversion is a ceremony that involves a number of details. Where do we learn the ceremony from? How do we know what the details of conversion are? From the biblical account of Moshe converting every Jew the day before the Torah was given. And there are 4 points, 4 things. Number 1, bris milah, circumcision. If you're male, obviously, as I mentioned to you last week, the Gemara says, Isha commanded mehila davya, according to Jewish law and halacha. It's not that a woman does the bris. A Jewish woman already has her bris. That's how it's explained in the Gemara. And it has ramifications, not just mystically, but even halachically. Number 2, you have to go to the mikveh. You have to immerse in a mikveh. Number 3, you have to bring a korban, a sacrifice. And number 4, you have to accept mitzvahs, which is called in the Chumash Nasav and Ishma. We will do it and we will hear it. Now, the last sikha that we learned was addressing the wonderful question of what is a ger missing today, the fact that he's missing the korban. And the Rebbe framed it so gorgeous. The Rebbe did such a masterful job explaining that the reason a ger in the times of Galus doesn't need a korban, because even Jews who are born Jewish in the time of Galus are not doing mitzvahs in a way that's whole, which is what the korban represents. It's a wonderful piece of work. Beautiful. And we finished it last week. I spent most of the time last week reviewing, and then we finished that sikh. Now we're going to learn another sikh. This is in volume 33, page 26, as you can see. And I have to tell you that these sikhs are hard, and they're particularly hard to prepare because I don't teach you the sikh, I teach you the parts of the sikh that I want to teach you. And I have to figure out how to make it work in the scheme of these classes. I worked very hard on this. The sikh has 2 parts, okay? The first part is a continuation of our discussion on Gerus. Okay, we have this idea that to be a Jew, you have to be converted. What we're learning that's interesting is that not just a non-Jew who wants to become Jewish has to be converted. Every Jew had to be converted. When the Eibishter gave us the Torah, Moshe converted each one of us. He brought karbonis, he sprinkled blood on us, and the Gemara said we went to the mikveh. We did the bris milah 7 weeks earlier so we could do the Korban Pesach, and we all said Nasav and Ishma. So the ceremony of conversion is not a conversion ceremony for converts, it's a conversion ceremony for Jews. Every Jew needs to go through a conversion. That was the idea. This sikha is going to speak to this question further. The first half of the sikha doesn't require me to give you any introductions. The second half of the sikha is going to require an introduction. So let's start learning right away. Let's start learning right now. Let's start from the very, very beginning, okay? Now, girls, you know how this works, right? You know how this works? I read only the underline. Read only the underline. Only the underline. So we're going to read a few paragraphs. We're going to have a schmooze. Then we're going to break. And when we come back, I'm going to introduce the more complicated half of the sikh. And it gets quite complicated. Does everybody have a copy of the sikh? Okay, very good. So I'm reading the underline, which is the very first paragraph. And after you read the first paragraph, we're going to the 3rd page. You see what I'm saying? That's how we do this. How do you get through a sikha in short order? You skip. We skip most of it. Okay, reading the first word. This is the Gemara, which is quoted almost verbatim in the Rambam. Oidois krisas. And by the way, if the Hebrew is hard to you, don't worry about it. You can listen.
Is it mean Yiddish or Hebrew?
This is Hebrew.
Oh, perfect.
The previous sikha was Yiddish, this one's Hebrew. Some of the sikhs are like this, some of the sikhs are like this.
There is a name for the sikha, is Chag HaShavuos.
Yeah, the Rebbe published a sikha for Shavuos, right? The Rebbe gave it out for Shavuos, right? But you see, what we're doing here, the Vaira, is we're learning the Chumash in order. We started with Lech Lecha, now we're holding Mishpat Mitzvah. So we're holding in the part of the story which is connected to Matan Torah. Okay? Oid ois krisas abris, regarding the covenant. Shas Matan Torah, that the Jewish people made with God when He gave us the Torah. Isa the Gemara says, Aviseinu lo nichnesu lebris. Our ancestors could not enter into a covenant with God, Ella only, and it says 3 things. B'milah, circumcision, utvila, going to the mikveh, V'atzos, dam carbon and bringing a carbon. To become a Jew, there are 3 ceremonies. Bris milah, mikvah, carbon. Now, people, go to page 28, the last word of page. The last word on 28, it says yesh. You see those words? Yesh. I didn't put the line under the first shin, just under the last 2 letters. Yesh ledayik b'may mechazal. That was, I want to question the Gemara we just quoted. What does the Gemara say? Sha'knisa l'bris, becoming a Jew, entering into the covenant, ibemila utvila v'atzos dam, requires 3 things: having a circumcision, going to the mikveh, and bringing a carbon. So he says, wait a minute, there's a 4th idea. Shalachayra, arguably, amai leimonu gam kabbalas hamitzvahs. Why does the Gemara, and the Rambam does the same thing, by the way. And the Rambam quotes the Gemara, he also says, you go into the covenant through 3 rituals. Milo, that means circumcision, mikveh, carbon. What about accepting mitzvahs? What about nasa v'nishma? That's the 4th component. So the Rebbe says, going through, saying, I will do all the mitzvahs, is a core principle of gira, of conversion. To be sure, it's actually the most important part of the conversion ceremony. Oh, they told me you weren't here. If I knew you were here, I wouldn't start. But get a copy of the Sikha. There should be an extra copy
There's
around.
one right.
Oh, you have one, very
Yeah.
good. But Adarabba, to be sure, this is the most important aspect of conversion. In the dinim, in the law of conversion, if we did not accept to do the mitzvahs, in front of 3 judges, during that day, the conversion is no good. So the Rebbe asks a common sense question: why would the Gemara discuss becoming a Jew? Does it list that the quote covenant of being Jewish requires circumcision, going to the mikveh, and bringing a carbon? It doesn't mention accepting. Now, I just want to tell you, and what I'm about to tell you is the second half of the Sikh. What I'm about to tell you is going to be what the second half of the Sikh is going to about. We're going to do after a break. Today we're going to have a short first class and then a longer second class. Okay, and Neely, I'm giving you a hidden.
Okay, thanks.
I'm already here in a few minutes. I came less late than normal. One of the things of being a Jew is there's no such thing as 3/4, halfway, or a quarter. You're in or you're out. But when you go through conversion, it's a very, very powerful thing. Because when a person goes through conversion, especially a woman, much more than a man, because we hold that in halacha, the identity of a Jew is matrilineal, it's not patrial, it's mother. So when a woman particularly goes through Yedus, she is making into a Jew herself and every one of her descendants. Every one of her daughters and their daughters till the end of time, and any one of their sons born from a Jewish girl. So she's converting all of them. And the thing about conversion is, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. The conversion has to be right. But once you're a Jew, you're a Jew. But when you go through conversion and then you stop keeping mitzvahs, you don't say that the conversion was not a conversion. It's a weird thing. By Gatus, I was once involved in a situation where somebody asked me to redo somebody's conversion, but they wanted it to be better. So I spoke to a rabbi, and the rabbi said, when it comes to conversion, it's either kosher or not kosher. There's no 50% kosher. And if the first conversion was good, we're not doing, it became a big fight. We're not doing another conversion. The first conversion was good, over, closed. And once you're a Jew, you're a Jew, and your children are Jewish, and your grandchildren are Jewish, even if they don't keep mitzvahs at all. But one of the components of the conversion process, which is key, is you're not allowed to pick and choose. You can't say, I like 604 of the mitzvahs and the other 9 I don't like. Or like 612 of the mitzvahs and the 13th I don't like. When a gay goes through conversion, they're told, it's all or nothing. It's a key part of the year. It's a key part of the conversion process. They need to understand that they are submitting, they're accepting as true and from God. Everywhere, the whole title and all the mitzvahs. If you have a problem with one of them, they have a problem with all of them. If there's one mitzvah, as they say in America, that you don't agree with God about, whatever that mitzvah happens to be, you are excluding yourself from the criteria of Gedus, not one that 613 parts, it's a zero. It's key. And you'll see it on the next page of Mitzvah Hashem. That when a convert goes through a conversion, you accept everything. Now, you can't possibly teach anybody the whole of Judaism before, but you give them a cross section. You give them a taste of different types so that they have a sense of the totality of it. And you make it very clear to the Giyah, to the convertess or the convert, that what you are committing is not just to do, but to believe in the divinity of every mitzvah, biblical or rabbinic, and even the Jewish customs. This is the nature of the covenant. That is the words. It's words. You say, I accept it all. The rabbi asks you questions. And you answer the questions based on faith. Well, I believe that this is true, all of it. I plan on keeping all of it. That's the criteria. So the Rebbe says, how could something be so important be overlooked by the Gemara? The Talmud, the Gemara, which is the source of the halachas, says that the covenant requires 3 rituals: circumcision, mikveh, korban, sacrifice. What about this acceptance? It's so critical, it's okay, and you'll see later on what I just told you. You have the question? You want to say something? Okay.
So for a convert, if they're not like if they don't keep all the mitzvahs, they do that to their abilities, they're no longer do it.
That's not good. That's exactly the opposite. At the moment of conversion, they have to commit to it all.
Right.
They don't commit to it all. They're not a conversion. Once they become a Jew,
Yeah.
if they later don't do it, take it out. Like the mafia. It's one, you can't get out. You can't get out. This is it. You're in here.
Still do it.
That's the halacha, yes?
Okay.
That's the halacha, that's the law. And of course, this creates the whole modern dilemma of people converting for the wrong reasons. I want you to know, if you lived in Poland in 1899 and you wanted to become a Jew, you were categorically crazy. Because you were walking into pogroms, you're walking into ghettos, you're walking into poverty, walking into hate. So if someone in 1899 lived in Poland or in Soviet Russia wanted to convert, they probably were thinking about God. They weren't thinking about marriage, and they were certainly not thinking about getting rich. But if you live in Brazil in 2025, or in Argentina, or in New Mexico, or Mexico City, right? The richest people in the country are Jewish. So how do you know why the person is converting? It makes it very tricky. But the law still holds that you postpone conversion to make sure that the motivations are sincere. But a conversion, once you did it, you did it. There's no chachi. Either it's kosher or not kosher. You understand? So let's continue. The Rebbe has a very, very good question. Why is Kabbalah mitzvahs not included? Now, girls, I'm going to do something unusual. I never do this. What do you think the answer is?
What's the question?
Why the 4th thing is not in the Gemara?
If conversion has 4 parts, and the expression that is used, entering into the covenant, you cannot enter into the covenant with the Jewish people and God without circumcision, mikveh, sacrifice. Then why doesn't it mention accepting it? Common sense, people. You should know I watched the inaugural address of a current president more than twice. Now, I'm not going to say I agree with everything he said, but 2 things that I did agree with was God, we have to remember God, under God. And then at some point in his speech, he said, common sense, it's all about common sense. Those 2 things I for sure agree with. So, anybody know the answer? Come on, wake up.
They're already doing this.
You know what the answer is? What the answer is? That is the conversion. You do 3 rituals when you convert. But what is the conversion itself? What's the covenant? saying, I'll do it. The Gemara is saying that when you become a Jew, you have to do three things. But the becoming a Jew is saying, I'll keep mitzvahs. So the three customs, the three rituals are around the Gatos. The Gatos, the entering into the covenant, is saying they'll do mitzvahs. And this is what the Rebbe is now going to say. It's a simple point, and it's actually quite logical. Next paragraph, please. I'm sorry to be rude. Are you doing schoolwork on your phone?
No, I'm actually looking at, some of the mitzvahs.
No, okay, but like, I don't like, phones are a big threat to me, you know what I'm saying?
I won't work.
I got a male ego. I used to say this all the time. You don't think about male egos? You don't think about male egos? Can I have a boyfriend?
She's married.
Oh, you're married? You don't think about male egos? It's the most fragile thing in the universe.
It's true.
Years ago, I used to say to the girl who said, a male ego, the most fragile man, you can be picked up, it's amazing. You'll find out. And if you pick them up, you'll win. If you put them down, you'll lose. If you build them, men need to be told they're wonderful every day because they forget. They all have ADD. And a girl needs from a man to feel safe. Those are the simple truths before the world got crazy and fancy and stupid. I mean, smart. That was a Freudian. Okay, so let's go. The answer is simple. Second paragraph, page 29. Says the Rebbe, Kabbalas mitzvahs ein rak echad me'advorim. Accepting mitzvahs is not one of the things. Hamachnisim es ha'adam lebris, that bring a person into the covenant with God. Elehi chelek nabris atzma. That's the covenant. You know why the Gemara doesn't list accepting mitzvahs? Because accepting mitzvahs is the covenant. What's the expression of the Gemara? The expression of the Gemara is, we do not enter into the covenant without bris, milah, tefilah, mikvah, and karm. But there's the word covenant. The word covenant is being connected to Hashem, right? Does anybody know what the word covenant means? Does anybody know what the word bris means? The word covenant. It's a good time to talk about it. Does anybody know the meaning of the word covenant? Covenant means an agreement, yes. But covenant is a certain type of agreement. Huh?
Like a contract one?
Covenant is a contract, but a certain type of contract. What kind of contract does a covenant constitute?
A binding one?
A binding one? What did you say? Unbreakable. Give me more words. I'll explain to you what a covenant means. I'll tell you what a covenant means. Okay? You have a friend. You went to school with a friend, and you liked each other, spent a lot of time together, right? Why were you friends? Because you both like baseball. This actually happened to me. I reached out to a friend a few years ago, and you know, we were kids, we were such good friends. And then I lost interest in the Yankees, and I was interested in him, and I started feeling guilty, so don't worry, I got over it. We were really close friends. Because I went through my baseball period, and I was, 10, 11, 12, 12 minutes. And then I sort of grew out of it, except when the Yankees were winning, then I sneaked in, and so I'm losing, I disappeared. I'm a fair weather fan. So you have this friend. But your friendship is not going to like each other. Your friendship is you share an interest. You can talk about sports, or fashion, or even ideas. That's right. Now, the nature of life is that people evolve, people change. Our worlds change. And when our worlds change, our interests change, our focus change, and so on and so forth, right? So over time, friendships come and go. When you had a friendship with somebody that was based on a certain interest, and when you grew apart, he still loves the Yankees, and you moved on to something else. So you don't hate them, you don't not like them. They're not your friend, but the friendship goes away because the binding component has become passé. It's dissipated. You understand? This is called in the language of the Mishnah, ahava tloya v'davar, conditional love. I love you because we both like sushi, or we both can't stand sushi, and we love to stand outside the sushi shop and laugh at all the people who are wasting money buying rice and I don't know what else for $1 million a pound, whatever. Right? Then, over time, the interest dissipates, goes away, and friendship is gone. Now, what happens if you have a friendship with a person? And the friendship is conditional. Both of you realize this friendship has to do with the common interest. And both of you realize that chances are that that interest is going to wither, going to go away. And when the interest goes away, the friendship will die. And you say to yourself, I want to be a friend even if I don't care about the Yankees. You understand? I want to be a friend even though I don't hate the Boston Red Sox. You understand? My big mitzvah, my big aveda, the Yankees and the Red Sox. This is literally 50 years ago. So you say to this person, I want to be a friend even though I'm not going to have the same interest. So this is when you make a covenant. A covenant means an unconditional friendship. Friendships are usually conditional. I like you because we both like sushi or pizza. I don't care what. Bivouacs, going hiking.
So does it also mean you agree to do mitzvahs expecting nothing in return?
Whoa, don't jump the gun. Don't jump the gun. Don't jump the covenant. The concept of a covenant is two people who say, we got together because of a common interest. We want our friendship to transcend that common interest. That means even if we're going to go in different directions and we're going to change interests, we will be friends forever. And a friendship, a marriage is a covenant. There's no question about it. The reasons people get married and the way those marriages, if they work with Hashem's help, is the biggest bracha. I'm married 35 years. I know how precious it is. And I can only imagine how much more precious it will be in 30 years now. We're one person, my wife and I. We're mamish one person. But the things that brought us together are not the things that keep us together. Life changes. But the marriage is an unconditional bonding. It's the nature of the union is that no matter what's going to happen, so you add a dimension to the relationship which is beyond reason. That's how you explain a covenant. Even when the reasons we came together go away, we stay together. That's a covenant. That's the concept of covenant. So Chassidus says there's two kinds of covenant. There's covenant with the people, and there's a covenant with God. And Kabbalistically, it's a difference between covenant and the level that we call in Chassidus Chaya, and the covenant at the level that we call in Chassidus Yechida. If you don't know what those words mean, don't worry about them, it's not that important. Chassidus says, if a human being makes a covenant with a human being, it's forever. It's forever. Meaning to say, even if they lose interests in what brought them together in the first place, they no longer share hobbies, they're still friends, right? But over time, people forget. I made a covenant with you, but I forgot about it. We were apart so many years, I haven't seen you in today, but you forgot that we have a pact, a brother's pact. You understand what I'm saying? They tell a story. I don't know if it's true or false, but they children's tapes about a man who's on death row. A man who's on death row. And his friend shows up and says, don't kill him, kill me. And on that basis, they left a guy sitting in jail. They're going to kill him. But he has to go someplace. His friend comes along and says, let him go. If he doesn't come back, kill me instead. So Principal A has been allowed to leave because Principal B is literally a hostage. It comes the day of the execution. And the judge says to this second guy, you're an idiot. You're giving up your life for your friend. He says, no, you'll see. My friend's going to show up. And they take him outside and they set up the gallows and they put their noose and he comes running. He says, no, here I am, kill me. And when the judge sees the first guy come back, he takes off the noose. And he says to these two friends, can I be the third friend? Do you imagine? Now, I don't know if the story is true, but the idea, a guy is supposed to die. And somebody else says, I'll sit in his place because he has to go someplace. If he doesn't come back, kill me. And the guy comes running back and says, please kill me. I'm the accused, not him. And the judge says, I want to have such a friendship. I want to have such a bond. That's what a covenant is. But when people make a covenant, people forget. You see, but God doesn't age and God doesn't forget. So it says in Chassidus that when Hashem made a covenant with Avraham Avinu, it was a God-man pact. Because Avraham Avinu was an adult. But when Hashem made the covenant with Yitzchak Avinu, and he was 8 days old, that's a God pact, because Yitzchak doesn't have an opinion. That covenant is forever. So the Gemara says, the covenant between God and the Jewish people, which is not only binding, in other words, not only beyond reason, but it's even beyond being forgotten, because God makes the covenant, has 3 rituals: circumcision, mikveh, sacrifice. But what's the covenant itself? Nasav Nishma, I'll do the mitzvahs. And that's why the Gemara doesn't list accepting mitzvahs, because accepting mitzvahs is not a ritual, it's the covenant. Let's keep reading. I'm on page 29, second paragraph, 4th line. As is underscored in the nuance in the language of the Rambam. The Rambam is almost the Gemara word for word, except that the Gemara was written negative and the Rambam was written positive. It's really interesting. The Gemara says, you don't go into the covenant without. And the Rambam says, we went into the covenant with. You know where else you have that? What is the Gemara? What you don't want done to you, don't do to your fellow. The Rambam turns it around. What you want somebody else to do for you, you do for your fellow. It's just interesting that the Rambam reverses it from the negative to the positive. Look at the language. With 3 rituals, the Jewish people entered into the covenant.
Wait,
I'm waiting.
can I ask my question?
Of course.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay, so Rambam says that we went into the covenant saying Nasav and Nishmas, and then someone else says that we weren't allowed to go into the covenant by saying Nasav and Nishmas.
Forget about it. I'll come back to it later. Don't worry, it's not important. It's language, it's form, it's all it is. I'm reading it again. The nuance of the language of the Rambam. Using 3 things, you throw the business went into the covenant. This is true forever. If a non-Jew, and he calls him Goy, there's many words for a non-Jew, one of them is Goy. To enter into the Jewish covenant, and by the way, Hashem made a covenant with non-Jews also, and there's a whole thing about whether that covenant is still viable. According to the Rambam, it's not binding. In other words, you're not getting punished if you don't keep it. But if a Goy keeps the 7 mitzvahs, there's a covenant that Hashem made with Noach. It's weird. The Gemara says that he broke the covenant. Goy. So some people say it's gone. The Rambam says he broke the covenant, meaning he's not going to punish you if you don't keep it. But if you do keep it, a non-Jew who keeps 7 mitzvahs of Noach is in a covenant with non-Jews. But we have a covenant with 650 mitzvahs. So let's read the word. Chayin l'der any time in the future. When a non-Jew desired to enter into the Jewish covenant, and to shade himself under the proverbial wing of the shadow of the Shekhinah, and he accepts upon himself the yoke of the Torah. Says that Rambam Tarach Mili needs circumcision, or Tefilah needs immersion in a mikveh, Vatas carbon needs a carbon. So what does the Rambam say? If I want to be a Jew, I got to do 3 things. But what makes me a Jew? That I entered into the covenant, I accepted the yoke of mitzvahs. Okay? What the Rambam is saying, it's Sha'in in the Kabbalah Allah El Teirah, the idea that any person, and in fact, this is my water, right? Thank you, Father. You know the accepts the yoke of Torah, who cheilek me'aratz when they kind of the bris, that's part of the desire for the covenant itself. So the Gemara doesn't say accepting mitzvahs, because accepting mitzvahs is not a ritual, it's the covenant. And the Rambam said it almost the same way. That to be a Jew, you have to go through 3 rituals, but the 3 rituals only bring you into the covenant. What's the covenant? You keep taking mitzvahs. And that's the answer to the original question. So what is the Rebbe saying in this first half of the Sikha? It's a very simple point. I'm reading on. It explains at a very simple level. Lama loinimis. Why do we not enumerate, list specifically? Kabbalah mitzvah. The idea that when a person goes to conversion, they have to accept to do all the mitzvahs. And like I told you before, you get no picky choosy, it's either all or nothing. And you can't just say, I'm going to do them, you have to say, I believe that they're from God. Beitnoi hageirus, amongst the conditions of conversion. And the answer is as follows. Kabbalah's mitzvahs. If you don't accept mitzvahs, doesn't mean there's something wrong with the conversion. There's no conversion at all. You see? It's not you're missing something. This is the conversion. Only once after. He wishes to enter. And to shade himself under the wings of the Shekhinah. The Yakabal El Teira, and he kept it by himself the yoke of the Teira. So then, Yesh Halois Hageirus, the conversion has what to rest on. What is the fertile earth that gives the conversion a place to take root and to grow? Mila, Tila, circumcision, mikveh, and karmi. So the three rituals hold the conversion. Accepting to do Torah mitzvahs is the conversion. So the Gemara doesn't list accepting the mitzvahs because he uses the word bris, the covenant. The Rambam doesn't use the word accepting the mitzvahs because he uses the word bris, the covenant. That is accepting the mitzvahs. Mash'enke, as opposed to in loyhikt in Kabbalah's el Torah mitzvahs, if one does not accept the yoke of doing Torah mitzvahs, it's not that you're missing something. Ein kamai say here, there's no conversion. It's a simple thing that they say, but it's very important. It's a simple thing that Rebbe is saying, but it's very important. You know, I'll give you an example, okay? How do you keep Shabbos? You don't work. You don't work, right? But is that Shabbos? No. Gotta make Kiddush. Have to put on the tablecloth, have to shop the clothes, have to eat special food, have to light candles, right? Wrong. Not a lot of work. Keeping Shabbos is not resting. But all of those other things are the rituals that accentuate, that bring out Shabbos. Keeping Shabbos is not working. That's keeping Shabbos. But if you really want to keep Shabbos, make Kiddush. Now, making Kiddush is not keeping Shabbos, it's making Shabbos holy. When you make Shabbos holy, they're not working as holy. And the same is true with the Kavod and the Einig. The Shabbos has two mitzvahs. Kavod, you have to make Shabbos honorable. And it's the tablecloth. It's the nice clothes. And then there's supposed to be pleasure on Shabbos. The Shabbos and the special foods. These are halachas and shulchan aruch based on Sukkim and the Kabbalah. See, so keeping Shabbos is not working. The seat that makes Shabbos Shabbos is all the other mitzvahs. You see, conversion is the same thing. You know, I become a Jew, accept mitzvahs. But what holds it? The bris milah, the mikveh, the karm. That's what they was trying to say. The key to Gedus, the essence of Gedus, is nasa v'nishma. Because we believe it comes from God, all of it, all 600 of it. I think that was clear. It's a simple point, and it took far longer than I thought it would. We're good?
Yeah.
Well, let me go with Danieli for a second, okay? Let me ask you a question, okay? What is the difference between me telling you, will you do me a favor and go to the store for me? Or, when you leave the school, please don't forget to go to the store.
One's really,
Huh?
one's much nicer than the other.
Okay, let's speak philosophically, not psychologically, okay? One is called positive and the other is called negative. One, you said, please do this for me. And the other, we said, please don't forget to do this.
Mhm.
You listening?
Yeah,
Now, I'm using Abbas as an example.
okay.
The story with Hillel. The guy comes Hillel and says, make me teach he a convert. Teach me the whole Torah while I stand on 1 foot. So Shammai kicked him out. You nuts, the whole Torah on 1 foot. He comes and tells, teach me the friend. Hillel says to him, what did he say? No, it's not what he said. No, it's not what he said. What you don't want done to do, don't do to your fellow. He says it in negative. Right? Why doesn't he say what you want done to you, do to your fellow? a good question, right? You listening?
Yeah, I'm making notes. I
So
promise.
I believe you. The Rambam turns it around. The Rambam brings that lashon, but he makes it positive. You know, because if you want done, you do to your fellow. It's interesting. The Rambam was a scholarly Jew. Yeah, it was the Rambam. And he takes the Gemara and he changes it from a negative to a positive. So of course, if you would be a scholar, we were scholars. We would have to explain why the Gemara is dafka negative, why the Rambam is dafka positive, and they both be true based on their own line of thinking, right? That difference is here by conversion. The Gemara says you don't become a Jew without Mila, Tefilah, Kada. The Rambam says you enter into Jewishness through Mila, Tefilah, Kada. So I simply pointed out that the Rambam is saying it positive and the Gemara is saying it negative, just like by Abbas Yisrael. The Gemara says it negative and the Rambam says it positive. So by Gedus, the Rambam makes the same change. Why? I don't know. But the idea is just fascinating to see. It's almost the same words, but the Rambam changes it from you're not Jewish unless to you are Jewish if. But at the base of both of them, the Gemara as well as the Rambam, both of them forget to mention accepting mitzvahs. And the Rebbe just told us why. Good morning, Bela.
Wow,
Yes.
good memory.
I remember reading Maria and Leah. And I even remember Fegel Chava, and then I got two different in the Bible. And I yelled like Shaga. Shavuos, you stay up all night. The girls stay up and learn, the boys gotta read the boring thing. I said the girls have no stuff reading. At the end of the night, you're supposed to go to the mikveh. You need a special zoya. And I talked about it, yelled like Shaga. It's a fun night. Okay, questions or comments?
Wait. Okay, so the Rambam changes it.
You say, wait, I can very minute.
So the Rambam changes it to a positive way of thinking. And
But it's positive language. You put words in positive language, way of thinking, I don't know, positive language.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And both of them forget. Wait, what? Both of them forget to mention.
Accepting mitzvahs,
Why is that?
because accepting mitzvahs is not a condition of conversion, it's the conversion itself.
Okay, thank you.
We are taking a break. I'll see you in 5.
Because
I
I
said
came,
some Russian, but Hannah was not here today. Okay, come back in 5 minutes.
Leia?
Okay, Leah. I'm happy he's not here. The other I forgot her name again. The one sister that is Leah, and Hannah.
Leia.
Okay, I'll try to have it for next week.
the blonde one.
Leia. Can I say something really funny? Next year, there's going to be a girl who looks like her, who's also from Russia,
His name is Hannah.
whose name is Kana. Sorry, they're both from Ukraine. That's why I meant to.
That's a big city.
Don't forget to mention accepting.
Okay, you got 5 minutes, okay?
No, so they're not.
No, don't say this. I gave her a new one. There should be one for you. Walk around the room. This is enough. I think I made one. I think the school made it. Today's Wednesday. Does anybody know what Wednesday means? I have hot water. Does anybody know what Wednesday means? The hardest English pitas of the entire year.
No.
Of Yosher. Oh my God. And it's so boring. It's
We asked you a question
at your own risk.
about Irish. I thought that's what the woman's saying.
What was that?
I thought Irish is what the woman's saying.
He just did it.
Everybody said Od Yosher. Then the women sang a separate one in addition, but everybody said Od Yosher together.
I said Irish Moshe.
Ubenei so.
The copy.
Then it says afterward, Vatigat Miriam Anavi. Look in later on in the quote.
What did the woman say?
They sang with the men and then they sang separately again.
Oh, the same song?
A different one.
What was the one they sang?
Look in the Chumash.
Oh,
Look inside.
okay, you want water or coffee?
Oh, I want to put the schmutz.
Okay.
But how do you bring it to class in
Does the
time?
same effect?
How about what I still?
Yeah, love your talk.
Can I borrow your chitas? It's yours?
It's Shayna's, but she'd be fine with
Who's
any.
Shayna? It says Alexis Louise. Is that Shayna? You sure she'll be okay with it?
Yes.
Oh, it's Chumash, huh? Gotta love it. Shalom. Today you gotta look it all day long, never finishes. The Rashis are impossible. They're impossible.
Open it up and then shut it again.
You did it already. You took a look.
I decided that's for tonight.
Yeah, that's for tonight, right? But at night you have no head. The first Rashi I ever learned in my life was by Nayad Hashem, as a little kid. And Hashem mixed them up like the lady cooks soup. That was the first Rashi I learned in Rabbi Engel's class. That was the third grade. I'll never forget it.
What did you think?
1973, probably.
Was it confusing then? And if it's
It
still.
was also new to me. It was so exciting.
Devin or
Ah, yeah.
and Jim or Dan.
Should I be going to? Many of them?
No,
Okay.
no, they're
Probably
not,
Nice.
they're not affiliated,
How was that ever?
but yeah, no, that's nice. You like to go hiking?
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. What job do you do there?
I do speak like me.
Oh,
I'm thinking to maybe do this year. If I'll leave it. Like I didn't know, I said I'll be there for like a month.
wow. My mom who does all hiking,
And here,
in Manhattan, yeah. It's a good job.
Yeah.
You gotta speak like me too.
well, maybe I'll look at her.
Yeah,
Oh, the Moshe Moshe.
yeah, I don't know.
They're different. How do you like my farm?
Amazing. Maybe I'll be able to come back again.
Yeah. You don't have a one.
Oh,
How did you find it? Bunch of people in my community came here. For the intro program. You're in Manhattan, right? Whereabouts in Manhattan? Upper Hill.
oh, the Moshe. Oh.
That's a shot. That's a shot. It is a shot, yeah. Like 2 hours a day of commuting. or more.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Well, I lost half my class. I lost three. Three out of 8. Okay, thank you, whoever you are, for your hummus, Shana. I did the first part.
Mm.
All yours. You know, how it actually translates the word Yashir. Decided to sing. Because the word Yashir means he will. It actually asks, of Yashir, Moshe will sing, he's singing. So he's separate of Yashir. Then Moshe decided that he wants to sing, and then he sang. That's what translates the word. Of Yashir, Moshe made the decision. Now we gotta sing. And then he said, of Yashir, Moshe. Moshe said, now we gotta sing. And then they sang. That's how that's. I like it.
Sorry, how did you begin the in Russia? Jewish nation was converted and not, yeah,
En masse, yeah, the day, Friday before the Torah was given, they were given on Shabbos.
yes,
The day before, they were all converted.
yes, but what the phrase the Jew was, Rashi said the Jew nation was converted
I'm not, because everybody at once.
on mass,
En masse, like masses.
massive,
The end, and the second word, and then
Ian.
SSE.
in mass.
Almost.
Are we ready? We're ready.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go, people. We're gonna continue to see it. I need your attention, please. Okay, now the plot thickens, okay? The last class was an easy ride. It really was an easy ride. This class is go. It's end of a round. Simply added insight to what conversion means. That's all we did in the previous class. But now the Rebbe is gonna really, really make us uncomfortable. I'll tell you how. Okay? Now, we just. This is our second, we're sitting on conversion for a while. We've been learning about conversion.
Yeah.
Right? And to be honest, conversion is a topic I don't know a lot about, which is why I really struggle with it. Preparing a class means reading the text and knowing what it means, but preparing doesn't mean knowing how to think about it. I don't understand conversion. It's very deep. I don't understand it. There's not a lot of memorial conceits that give you the mysticism of the conversion process. But one of the things I told you in the last class was there's no 50 choosing. It's 100% or 0. Correct? Take it all. And you can't just say I'm going to do it all. You have to say I believe it. Say I believe that it's all been launched. Otherwise, you're not a Jew. And that's what happened to go to conversion. It's a very unpleasant process. When you go to the mikveh, and rabbis ask you, are you in? Are you remember? Remember, it's like the mafia. You cannot get out. One way. And if you're a girl, you're converting your children and grandchildren. I'd say kol day till the end of time. It's a very serious thing. But there's a requisite. You got to commit to all of it. Here's a problem. Okay, now answer the question thoughtfully, please. When were the Jews converted? On Friday. When did they get the Torah? The next day. How could you commit to a Torah that you don't yet have?
That's what they said, you would not, I mean, but also they didn't want to treat me, so they thought. The midway through. They didn't have a really nice brother and something like that, so you wouldn't.
You're really, really confused. They did the bris in Mitzrayim before they left and they committed the God Pesach. The bris was done, that's not the issue. The Rebbe now opens up a really big can of complexity. And he says, the Rambam learns, the Gemara says, you learn the halacha of the Jewish people. And the Rambam says, this is the halacha comes against the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, well, I want to point something out. There was something foundationally wrong with their conversion. Why? You cannot commit to a religion that you're not fully informed about. They didn't get the Torah till the next day.
That's what, that's what NASA initially was.
You cannot commit to something if you don't know what you're committing to.
They committed by saying NASA.
I know, but you cannot commit until you know what it is. That's the law. That's not law. It's nice, it's romantic, it's sweet, but it's not logic. So the Rebbe opens up a challenge to the whole paradigm. Now the Rebbe's not going to change his mind. We learn conversion from them. He's simply going to say there's a difference between how we do conversion and how they did conversion. you'll see what's going to happen. The Rebbe is going to talk about it. But it's a fascinating observation. And let's remember, I told it to you before in the last class, because I wanted to preempt this class, that you cannot accept 612 or 613 mitzvahs. If you do, you're not 612 and a 13 part Jew, you're zero Jew. There's no such thing as that. Nothing. All or nothing. That's how it's presented to the gate. So you have to tell him. The law requires to give him sufficient, you can't teach him all the mitzvahs. But you have to give him enough of a cross-section, enough of a variety, enough of a taste of mitzvah that he understands what he's committed to. The Jews didn't have it yet. We're not given it yet. So there's something fundamentally deficient about their conversion, even though we learn conversion from them. This is the observation that I'm going to make. That's what's going to happen in the Sikh. But before you learn, I want to blow your mind. Now, it may not blow your mind, but it blew my mind. There are a lot of rabbis who disagree with Rashi. And they say that the conversion ritual we're reading about just Mishpatim happened after they were given up for.
Sorry, repeat that sentence.
There are a lot of rabbis, most notably the Ramban, the Nachmanides, who said that this ritual of conversion, which I told you happened on Friday, they say it happened after the Feder was given on Shabbat. And now you know why. Because they got a problem. How do you convert a nation of people? Make them commit to Torah mitzvahs, which means they have to commit to it all, that they know what it is, hasn't been given yet. So there's a whole school of thought, a whole bunch of Mefarshei Torah, and it's based on Chazal, who say that the conversion happened after. Now let me remind you, the story giving the Torah is in Parshas Yisrael, right? The story of the conversion is in the next Parsha, Parshas Mishpatim. Rashi says it's in the wrong order. The Ramban says no, it's in the right order, just the way it's written. That's how it happened. And now you know why the Ramban says that. And there's a lot of reasons why he said it, but one of them is because the Ramban wants the conversion to be a real conversion. If it's a real conversion, they have to accept all mitzvahs. To accept all mitzvahs, they have to know all mitzvahs. They got the mitzvahs at Har Sinai, so the Ramban says it happened after. But we're not learning Ramban, we're learning Rashi. I think it's the Mechil that they converted on Friday. So as they say in the language of the astronauts, Houston, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. You ever heard the word Houston, we have a problem? You know that story? Apollo 11, Apollo 9, right? Apollo 9. The world didn't breathe for 3 days. They brought him back alive. It was such a miracle. The entire panel that had all the energy blew out. They were right near the moon. There were 3 days when they went into the moon, and they had to do such crazy stuff to stay alive.
Wasn't it Apollo 13?
Oh, Apollo 13. Thank you for the correction. I knew it was off by 11, by 2. Apollo 13, yeah, the movie, Apollo 13. Apollo 13. Right? Houston, we have a problem. There's a problem with the whole story of Matan Torah. Why? Because you can't accept mitzvahs that you haven't yet been given. And the Rebbe's going to talk about it. Don't worry, he'll fix it. Don't worry, don't be nervous. Leave him alone, let him talk. Let's read. Okay, you want to say something?
It might come up, but I was gonna say, didn't the Jews have a sufficient enough cross section of the mitzvah before they came to Mount Torah? Like, didn't it say that in Egypt, the women were having 6 kids at a time, and it represented the 6 days of the week that they worked? They were already keeping the Shabbos. They already knew from Abraham that there's only one God. Like, they knew a lot of stuff already. Like, they were doing a lot of stuff already.
The Rebbe's going to bring it up. And he's going to argue that it's not enough. He's going to insist that it's not enough. That's going to be his position. So let's read. Your point is interesting. Page 29, second column, first full paragraph. Based on what we learned in the last class, which is that the rituals of Gatus, the mitzvahs of Gatus, are milah, mikvah, korban. But the Gatus itself is the bris, is Kabbalah Sel Torah, accepting mitzvahs. Accordingly, we got a problem. That there's a fundamental difference between the conversion process of the Jewish people at the time that the Torah was given. The conversion that's done today, even though we learn it from them, it's not the same. Why? Once Hashem gave us the Torah, we have the Torah. The three mitzvahs that become the fertile earth where the Gatus takes root, which is the circumcision and the immersion in the mikvah and the carbon. They come after saying that first you accept the mitzvahs and then you do all the holy stuff. Those three mitzvahs, they bring the person actually into the covenant. The oisim, I say again, they make them into a covenant. But the first thing you got to do is say, I believe in this. This is true. And I want you to understand that this is a whole other conversation. When a person says, I want to be a Jew, the correct answer to that question is why? You can serve your God as a non-Jew based on the Jewish religion. It's very important to understand that. A goy has no obligation to become Jewish, none. A non-Jew who keeps the 7 laws of Noach has a portion of the world to come. That means he has eternal life. The Rambam says it, and the Zohar says it. Halacha says it, and Kabbalah says it. No question about it. He has no requirement to become Jewish, none. The only reason, the real reason, for a convert to become Jewish is if he comes along and says, I need more. I need more. If he comes along and says, listen, I'm a good person, I like my life, but I want to become a part of the club because I don't know, I like to sweat more. That's not a reason. The ideal reason for Gedus is you say, I keep the Shabbat mitzvahs, I believe in God, I pray to God, I live a familiar life. I mean, what a non-Jew is according to the Torah. I raise my children in that spirit. I'm a good person. I give tzedakah and whole business. But I want a deep connection. That's the real reason for Gedus. That's the real reason for Gedus. I remember in California, it's a very interesting story. There was a man who used to come around in the yeshiva. This goes back 40 years, more than 40 years. He was a Christian, probably a very religious Christian. At some point, he found a problem with Christianity. So he started exploring Judaism. I don't know who he met, but he ended up in the yeshiva. Rabbi Shachar was like, he learned to go and become a chacham, became very close to this person. And they had a lot of theological conversations, and the direction was they was going to convert. But his wife didn't want it. Rabbi Shachar said, don't become Jewish. Don't become Jewish to destroy your family. The Noahite. The Noah. And Rabbi Shachar actually gave him a citation as a Noah. He later said that he made a mistake. You could keep, because to give such a citation, you have to have certain conditions which we don't have nowadays. This is a true story. He wanted to become a Jew. He wanted more. But his wife didn't want to join Rabbi Shachar. Don't destroy your family, but God doesn't want this. And I remember him coming around even after he had decided not to become Jew. He would come to Yeshua down. He would sit in Shul Shabbat, whatever he would come, he'd sit, he'd do his thing, He came to a Jewish synagogue and he prayed. But this is the truth, it actually happened. This story actually happened. The reason to become a Jew, ideally, is because you're keeping the Shabbat mitzvah, you have a relationship with God. You live as God says human beings are supposed to live in a way that represents honorably what we call the image of God. And I need more. That's a reason for conversion. Okay? But by the time you convert, you know it. Let's continue to read. Masha Ein came. 29, second column, second paragraph, 6th line. Pardon me. Masha Ein came as a post. When the Jewish people converted, when the Torah was given. Listen carefully. Before the Torah was given. And Amir, as I said, as I did, as the recitation of the 10 Commandments. Adayin loyhoisa etzlam kabbalah, as Amir says, they could not accept nitzvahs. Rivka, we read, there's only one Rivka here right now, so I'm talking to you. We only read the underline. The 4 lines that we're skipping are the point you made. They said after the Nishma. And the Rebbe says, don't matter. If you don't know what you're accepting, it's not an acceptance. And we're reading the next underline. Hare, which I translate in English as emphasis. Aidei Tfilah, they went to the mikveh. V'atas Adamim, they brought a carbon, and remember, the circumcision had happened 7 weeks earlier in Mitzrayim. Because without a circumcision, you couldn't bring a Garden Pesach. And every Jew wanted to bring a Garden Pesach. Why? Because he wanted to put the blood on the doorpost and on the lintel, so the Malach HaMavet should pass them by. So they all circumcised 7 weeks earlier. And they all now went to the mikveh, they all now brought Karbonis, because the Holy Rebbe still. Adayin le'nichnesu lebrit b'poil, they have not yet entered into the covenant actually. In other words, their conversion is not complete. Adam said, there was Hashem said the 10 Commandments. When the 10 Commandments were given, and of course, along with the 10 Commandments come all the rest. They were able to accept mitzvahs in a wife in a way that's halakhically satisfactory. So the Rebbe is just pointing out that if you follow Rashi, which is what we're doing, and I got to think the Bechil that we do with Rashi. The two opinions of the Chacham. But one of the opinions of like Rashi, that the conversion happened the day before. If you hold that the conversion happened the day before, you hold that they did all the rituals we do, including Nasir and Ishma, but it couldn't be complete until they got to Torah. The next day. Okay? Turn the page 30. Remember again, we read only the underline. That's how we get through the Sikhs, okay? Hasbara say the explanation is as follows. And the Rebbe is going to make your argument. The Rebbe is really going to press the point you suggest, but he's going to refute it.
What was it again?
For argument,
Yeah.
that they already had enough mitzvahs. Because they had Shabbos, they had Parak Duma, they had many mitzvahs. They had more than 7. You know, the Rambam brings, the other Rishon was given 6 mitzvahs, not 7. Which one wasn't he given?
Say that again.
Adam
Yeah.
and Eve were given 6 mitzvahs. Which one wasn't he given?
To honor your mother and father.
Drink the blood of live animals?
Not to eat
Live animals.
the flesh of live animal. Why? Because before the flood, you were not allowed to eat meat. Before the Mabel, for the first 1656 years, if you killed an animal, it was considered murder. Surprise, surprise. You were not allowed to kill and eat meat. And about eating dead meat, I'm over the situation. After the Mabel, Hashem allowed them to eat meat. They allowed them to eat meat, he said, but don't kill animals cruelly. So he added the 7th mitzvah. So the Rambam starts the halachas of the 7 laws with these words. 6 mitzvahs are given to Adam Rishon. Noach was given the mitzvah of Menachah. Then came Avraham Avinu. Hashem gave him the 8th mitzvah, circumcision, and he enacted davening shachris in the morning. Yitzchak came along, and Hashem gave him the 9th mitzvah to separate a tie, and he introduced davening mincha. And Yaakov came along, and Abraham permitted him from eating the gid anosh, the sayadik nerve, which is the 10th mitzvah. And he enacted Tfilas Avis. And then Eden came to Mitzrayim. And Amram, you know what Amram is? Moshe Rabbeinu's father, added additional mitzvahs. It doesn't say what they are, they added additional mitzvahs. And then when the Jewish people left Egypt and they came to Har Sinai, and there was a Bo Moshe Rabbeinu, the Lashon Rambam is V'nishlama ha'al Torah al yadai. Which means in English, the Torah became complete at the hands of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the language of the Rambam. It's a very important expression. Because what the Rambam is saying, really, is that the 7 mitzvahs of Noach are the beginning of the mitzvahs. Even though there's a difference in how Goy keeps the 7 mitzvahs and how Yid keeps the mitzvahs. But the Rambam wants us to see the Torah as beginning with the first 6 mitzvahs of Adam Rishon. That's how he presents it to you in such a way that it was given in pieces. But it's not whole till Moses. He completes the whole Torah. So that means a lot of things. And one of the things it means is that if you want to be a Jew, you got to get the version that Moshe got. The day before the Torah was given, they didn't have that version. So even though we learned Gators from then, there was something to vision about. Let's read. Let's go. Page 30. Pardon me. I'm sorry for coughing. Hasbaras ha'inyan. You see what I'm reading? Kindalach.
Mhm.
Page
Yeah.
30, the underline. The explanation is as follows. This is a biblical passage from Parshas Mishpat. Moshe Rabbeinu related to the people. It's called Divrei Hashem, all the words of God. There's called Mishpatim and all the laws, all the judgments. So there are two different things. He told them words and he told them judgment, Mishpatim. The entire nation answered in one voice. But when they said, all of the words, all of the commandments, all of the things that Hashem is commanding us that we will do. Okay? Kosav Rashi, on this pasuk, Rashi says, the koi, what does it mean, the words, and what does it mean, the judgments that Hashem, that Moshe told the Jewish people? It goes on mitzvahs, tisha v'advot. The mitzvah of putting up fences, not getting too close to the mountain, and the mitzvah of having the 48 hours where they had to become so holy as to become prophets, as we discussed at length in the last couple of years. Now those two things, Prisha and Agbola, are not mitzvahs. They were unique to the time. When you get the Torah, put up a fence. When you get the Torah, make yourself pure and holy, right? So that's included in the words Divrei Hashem, the words of God. But then it says Mishpatim. Mishpatim means mitzvahs. And this is Zayin mitzvahs shenitztavu b'nei Noach. The 7 commandments were given to the children of Noach. Who mitzvahs shenitnu b'mara, and the additional mitzvahs which they were given right after they left Egypt in the place called Mara, which is, by the way, in the end of today's Chitas. Today's Chitas is long and hard. I'm not going to say anything else. So much of it's so tedious if you learn Rashi, because it's many Rashis are grammatical. You know, if Rashi is interesting, but when he's grammar, it ain't my thing, man. Don't work for me. People love language. It's not my thing. But you read the whole of the ocean, and then you read the song that Miriam sang, and then you read the Maisa with the bitter water, threw a stick into it. In that place where they put the bitter stick in the bitter water, the water became sweet, and they drank, they got mitzvahs. Which mitzvahs they get? Look inside. Shabbos, pretty important, right? Shabbos. Kibbutz Avim, also quite important. Para Duma, of all things, the laws of the red heifer. And dinner, you know what dinner means? All of business law. That's a chunk, man.
They had this.
All of business law. That means having a court system and having witnesses and giving punishments and charging taxes and giving fines, the whole business. It's a huge volume of Yiddishkeit that they got before. So the day before the Torah was given, or probably 2 days before the Torah was given, give me a minute. This happened on Thursday, not even on Friday. The words we just read didn't happen on Friday, happened the day before, Thursday. So Moshe told them 2 things. Number one, how to get ready to the Torah, which is putting up the fences and spending the 48 hours ready to become prophets. There's another way to say that. Spending 48 hours ready to really lose their lives, right? They have no idea what they're getting themselves into. And then the mitzvahs that they had, the 7 laws of mitzvahs, and the chunk of mitzvahs, which was quite a few that they got in Mara. You wanted to say something? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're saying, just to
I
clarify,
hate the word you're saying. If I'm saying, throw it in the garbage. Say it says. I'm not worth it. Trust me. I know. Ask my wife. She'll explain it.
Torah says that 48 hours before we already had the mitzvahs, we already had some of the mitzvahs.
Correct.
Can you repeat what they were again, please?
The 7 laws of Noach,
Okay, and then
Shabbos, honoring your parents, Hora Duma, the red heifer, of all things, and all of business law, which is so much. Maybe it's out of mitzvahs, but I mean, any boy who lives in yeshiva is learning business law.
and
Fuck.
for those 48 hours, they had to put up fences around these
On the mountain.
5 laws.
No, no. So the putting up the fence and making themselves holy are not mitzvahs. The pasuk says 2 things. Moshe told them the words of Hashem and the mitzvah. So that actually explains what they are. The words of Hashem are defense and making them holy. And the mitzvahs are the 7 laws of Noach, the ones that mitzvah.
And then they got the Torah.
This happened on Thursday. This happened on Thursday. Keep reading. Then it says a few plukim later, and what we're about to read happened on Friday. Moshe Rabbeinu took the book of the covenant. And he read in the ears of the people everything written in the book of the covenant. The people answered, whatever God says, Nasav and Ishmael, we will do what we will do. So now they had a book. The day before he spoke to them, the next day he wrote it down, and the next day he read it to them. Okay. What did Rashi say now? Look inside. Peter Shirashi says, what is Sefer Abris? What's the book of the covenants? Number 1, Mibreshis at Matatayim. The entire scriptural text from Genesis, from Bereshit until now. But you wrote it down. And when he wrote that down, he also wrote the laws of Prisha and Akbala, because what he already did it. And then mitzvahs and the commandments given in Mother. So twice, Rashi is precise to point out that Moshe is saying, Moshe is reading to him things that are connected to religion indirectly, and mitzvahs that are part of the religion. The thing connected directly to the religion is putting up the fences and making it holy, or the story of the Chumash from Bereshit until now. Then the mitzvahs, the Shem mitzvah Nayach, and the mitzvahs they got in Mora, and so on. Okay? Said the Lubavitch and Ever. Let's go. Meaning. Kabbalah Zayim mitzvah b'nei Nayach. The fact that the Jews had the 7 laws of Nayach and they committed themselves to it. Bevadai certainly Eino Begeder Kabbalah mitzvahs Yisrael cannot be defined as accepting the mitzvahs that a Jew needs to keep. And I repeat again, even though when the Rambam described the evolution of Torah, he starts with saying, Adam Arisha Nitztava Meshisha mitzvahs. After we begin the laws of 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Adam was given 6 mitzvahs. Noach was given a 7. And Abraham was given an 8 plus Tfilah Shachar. Yaakov was given a 9 plus Tfilas Mincha. Yitzchak was given a 9 plus Tfilas Mincha. Yaakov was given a 10 plus Tfilas Avis. Amram and Mitzrayim added more. And then Moshe Rabbeinu comes along with a Nishlama HaTeira, Al Piyam, the Torah becomes complete through Moshe. So the Rambam wants us to see the 7 mitzvahs at the beginning of the 650. Says the Rebbe, that's true. But accepting the 7 mitzvahs is not accepting the mitzvah. Not enough. It is true when the Rambam sees it, and it's a fascinating Rambam. And I'm sure there's other Rishonim who would disagree. Pardon me. That the 7 mitzvahs, or the 6 mitzvahs of Bnei Adam, the 6 mitzvahs given to Adam, are the beginning of our Torah. But committing to them is not the kind of commitment which we learned about in the previous class, that is the essence of becoming a Jew. And he continues, page 30, 2nd column, 2nd paragraph, 3rd line. Va'afilu, this is the answer to your point. Afilu kabbalas ha-mitzvah shenitztavu b'morah. Even committing to the mitzvah that they accepted in Morah. So the Rebbe says it very diplomatically. Tarachim have to think about it. It's a question. Im daya, that's enough. Le'echoshev kabbalas ha-mitzvahs to be considered if they've committed all 600 of it. The Rebbe doesn't say it is. You have to think about it. Not push. Why? Key, because everybody understands that you cannot wait to convert a person to Judaism until he studied the whole Torah and knows all the words. According to Jewish law, a convert does not have to study each one of the mitzvahs before they go to the conversion. However, go to the next underline. Same paragraph, right? Page 30, 2nd column, 2nd paragraph, 2nd underline. Maybe he doesn't have to tell them all, but has to accept them all. Because the halacha is, this is foundational Judaism, fundamental Judaism. The key of Allah, the non-Jew accepts all of the Torah. Except for one word. What are the next two words? Anybody? Who's looking inside? Einoijer. He's not a convert. It's all or nothing.
Please, could you repeat that?
The last two words,
The last sentence.
that if you accept the whole Torah minus one thing, you're not a convert. The imkain accordingly. Gamba Mora at the place called Mora, which is the end of today's long chitas, okay? The Kabbalah's mitzvah to the they got Shabbos, Kibbutz of the Aim, Paraduma, and Binim. Argues the Rebbe Eikan Kabbalah Torah. It's not enough to say that they have enough of a cross section of the Torah to say that they have an idea what the whole Torah is. And the Rebbe finishes the paragraph with Vav Ayin Tzaddik Ayin. See those words? You know what that means? That the Rebbe is saying, I want to think about it some more. The Rebbe is admitting, I want to think it over. So maybe there's some truth to what you said. But the Rebbe is saying, it's not so simple. You're saying that this was enough of a cross section. And the Rebbe says, I need to think about it. I need to think about it. Keep reading. But if you go with the supposition that it's not enough, then there's something over the conversion. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just to clarify, Mora is a place near.
M-A-R-A.
a
When
place
they
near
left
Mount Torah?
the Yam Suf, you heard the Sea of Reeds, Yam Suf, you read. So what happened was, they didn't cross over to the other side. They went in the U. They went into the Sea of Reeds, which was really a sea means a lake, actually, it doesn't mean a river. We're imagining a river, it was a lake. It was an inland sea. It wasn't the Mediterranean, it was an inland sea. A lot of people say it no longer exists. You can't find Yam Suf on the map because it no longer exists. For one reason or other, the Egyptians dammed a lot of the place where the Jews lived and flooded it. Because they don't want us to look for artifacts. A long time ago, they built the dam. And the argument is that the place where they flooded was where the Jews lived in Egypt. So it's really hard to know what the topography looks like. Yam Suf was a lake, a big lake, probably fresh water. But they didn't cross. They went like this, came out on the same side. But the Egyptians followed them. And then the waters came back and the Egyptians drowned. The Jews came out of that Yam, whatever it was, inland sea. And then the remains of the Egyptians washed up on the shore. And when the Egyptians in the ancient world, when they went into battle, you took your wealth with them. So the Jews were busy picking the wealth off the remains of the Egyptian warriors for 3 days. And the Chazal say that she said there was more wealth that they took in the sea than they borrowed in Egypt. They don't want to leave. And Moshe rushed them away. Where'd they go next? To this place called Mar. They came to a river, which was not a sea, was a river. And the water was toxic. The water was not drinkable, poison. And the Jews complained, there's no water. So Hashem told Moshe to take a piece of wood. There's 3 opinions what that piece of wood was. But one of the opinions was that it was actually a bitter piece of wood, a toxic piece of wood. He put the toxic piece of wood, the toxic water, and the water became sweet, drinkable. And the Jews drank. If you learn chitas today, you'll learn this at the end of the day. You'll be so tired, you're not going to have a brain anymore if you learn all those grammar rashis. But it says at the very end of today's chitas, Sham, in that place called Mara, Psalm loy choiku mishpat, he gave them an edict and a judgment, the Sham Nisal, and there the Jews tested God. So the words choiku mishpat, Rashi says. They were given some mitzvahs which are hard to understand, and some mitzvahs which make complete. And he lists to say, did you ever list here? Shabbos, with the aim, Paraduma, which doesn't make any sense at all, and business law, which makes total sense. So 3 days after they left the Sea of Reed, 3 days after they crossed the Sea of Reed, when they left from the Sea of Reed, after sitting there for 3 days collecting wealth, in a place called Mara, they were given mitzvahs. They never wonders, is that enough of a cross section of mitzvahs to say that when they said Nasa and Ishma, they were informed of the whole Torah mitzvahs? They never seem to think they were. He says, I'm not sure, I want to think about it, but he's inclined to say they were. Okay? Ubehegdim. I want to preface. I'm reading one more paragraph and then I'm going to stop. Hatam, the reason. Let's say that Kabbalah Sagelis Ladelis. When a person wishes to convert nowadays, or 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, or 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, what's the sequence? You have to inform him or her, quote, mitzvah, miktsas, top of 31 now. Mitzvahs chamuris, top of page 31. Some of the strict mitzvahs, what's strict mitzvahs? Shabbos, Yom Kippur, meat and milk, because for those of us, you lose your life, right? Umaydian oisai, or in Shom Shom mitzvah, you tell him the punishment of those severe mitzvahs, this mitzvah, you have this punishment, severe punishment. And then you also tell him miktas, mitzvahs, kalas, some of the easier mitzvahs, you give him a cross section. That the reason for this is the reason when a person wishes to convert, you have to give them a sense of how big Yiddishkeit is, and how serious Yiddishkeit is, and how consequential Yiddishkeit is, by giving them a cross section of the mitzvahs. The pashas, the reason is the fee because Shem Lohi. I excuse myself again. She'im loy noidia oisoy. You're not going to inform this convert or convertess. Mitzvahs hachamur, someone that's strict mitzvahs. The chein oin shom shom mitzvahs, including the consequence of violating mitzvahs. Because there is a lack of a kabbalah's mitzvah. When you commit to mitzvah, you got to understand, number one, how many you're committing to, and how serious the consequence is going to be. Halachically, of course, these things don't apply nowadays for many reasons. In Deseret Shabbos, it's stoned. Imagine that. It doesn't mean alcohol. It means stones. Serious. So you have to know this. Because only then have you committed. She'edakim, because it's possible. You only taught the person the nice mitzvah, or the ones he wants to hear. That later, after the conversion, when he's going to find out about the fact that some mitzvahs are more strict, or would have severe punishments, he'll regret becoming a Jew. So the reason for giving him a cross section, a gamut, a panorama, a framework, a sense of Yiddishkeit, is because he doesn't know them all, but he knows that it's big and important. And until you have that big and important, the commitment is not a commitment. And the Rebbe says, I'm not sure that the mitzvahs that were given at Mora satisfies that requirement. Okay? The Alderah says, the same is true in this case. The Chol didn't betray. So long as Torah was not given from Sinai, the Piyat HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he actually is Kabbalah. We can't commit to mitzvahs that God hasn't yet given. Our mitzvahs are the mitzvahs, shall achrei matan Torah, which we're only going to get. Maybe she gives us the thing. Okay? Now we're going to stop right here on this little cliff. And we're going to go back in a week. And we're going to complete the sikha. Go ahead.
You're making it sound like when someone converts, they're like taking on being perfect at being a Jew. They're not. They're taking on doing their best to be a perfect Jew.
We're
So-
talking about the commitment. We're talking about the acceptance. The
Okay.
key is, I'm not creating my own brand. I'm accepting the Jewish brand, whatever it is. And yeah, I'll do my best. Best at that. We'll try. Are we good? I will see you in a week. Okay, Chalak Hazak. Yes.
you. You want the extras?
Okay, be good.
Okay.
I'll take them. One of the girls likes to give back the copies that she doesn't lose them.
It's Amy. You want to take your extra?
Her name is Ani Lee.
My bad.
You'll be very bad.
Rabbi Paltiel, you got a nice note on the corner, that someone donated, they said they loved your classes, and you asked them to donate, so this is their showing of appreciation for your online classes.
I've never done it before, but I sent to all my groups. I sent to everybody.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
no.
And there was feedback. People even sent me notes. Even non-Machon kind of graduates.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some, yeah, people, like an honor of Rabbi Paltiel.
I gotta get up and go, right?
I'm
I'd be lazy.
And I was like, can you please just talk hey? And she was like, yeah.
Or you could teach the rest of the classes for today.
I was.
Get out of here.
Thank you, that was amazing.
Thank you for coming and listening. I appreciate it. Where do you live?